Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, Snowpocalypse Edition for Monday, the 15th day of January, 2024. Well, I actually did this whole thing and uploaded it, and I watch it while I'm uploading to YouTube, and uh, at the end of it, it got real jumpy and it didn't work itself out. So I had to delete that one. And so I'm not going to change the cards or the runes, but I'm just going to redo this here because, well, anyway, I'm just going to redo it. I think it's kind of an interesting reading because I ended up pulling a snowpocalypse card basically here to start the reading out. So I thought, well, this is interesting because I don't want to simply say this is about what's happening weather-wise, but because I don't think it is necessarily, but it could be. I mean, it could be for some people because I do try to keep these generals. So anyhow, I'm just going to go ahead and redo it and keep the same cards and the runes because that's where my head's at anyway at the moment. So oh, one thing. Let's see. Everything went up on the blog last night in the midnight hour. The forecast for the week, the daily correspondences for work and magic for the week, the little astrological cheat sheet I put up, and then also the exploring tarot one I put up. That's up right now. For next week, I don't know why this didn't occur to me when I started doing that exploring tarot series, but it didn't. But what I did is for not this week, but the next week, I've included the same cards. I think it's the Ace of Wands, and I included 3 more cards from different types of decks that show the same thing. Although you still use the same interpretations as the Rider Waite, but sometimes they don't really. You can't read them the same way that you would read this card, for example. In other decks, it has to be. You have to consider what the author of the decks were thinking about, especially if it's a pagan deck or something like that, or hermetic type of a deck. But anyway, I changed how I did it. So, but not for this week. It'll be for the following week. You'll see that, and then however many I have left to do in that series, because I'm winding it down at this point. I don't have that much left to do. I'm going to do that same thing and show some other cards that are the same, card in other types of decks. Just cause. Anyway. That's enough of that. So let's go ahead and get started here. The rune from the Elder Futhark today is Gebo. Now, Gebo is the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark, so it already, with the 7 numerology, it already talks about balance. And Gebo is the gift of balanced energy exchange with other people. It's also within and without. See, what did I do with oh, there it is. Okay. If you look at it exploded, it's Kenaz in all directions. So it's the light of spirit being expressed inward, outward, drawing it in, all of that, and expressing it in everything that you do with others. You can think of it, I mean, it also means marriage and partnership and the link between people. But with Gebo, to express it in your life, it's like random acts of kindness. It's like, going and helping a neighbor with something or that they're not expecting you to do. There's no expectation really of it's not like a quid pro quo experience. It's the reciprocity you feel toward other people. That if they've done something nice to you, you're going to want to do something nice for them, not because they expect it, but because that's just what you feel. And so it's a very higher awareness-based rune, as all of the runes are, but this really draws all of this in, this energy in from higher perspective. It's from higher consciousness, from the soul's perspective. In terms of your relationships with other people, keeping them balanced, keeping them to where you're contributing as much as you're receiving, I guess, is one way to look at it, maybe from a lower vibrational perspective. But here we have, for the Geomancy rune, really the opposite, the inability to do that with Tristitia. Its complement is Laetitia. So if you're looking at that continuum, you're looking at happiness and joy with Laetitia, and Tristitia is so consumed with grief and sorrow and condemnation and blame and being stuck in those emotions. So you can see where where between the two, in a sense, Gebo provides the answer to how you're feeling if you're experiencing some Tristitia energy right now, where you're feeling stuck in your emotions, where you're unable to move out of that. Sometimes we hang on to stuff way too long, and it's not doing us any good. We think that it is, but it's not. It's really just impacting the individual. And I think that so in this sense, they don't harmonize together, these two runes today. They don't find common ground. I just really believe Gebo's the answer to Tristitia, is being able to see things from a bigger picture, from perspective, from a broader perspective, where you can understand that whatever is happening, sure, it happened, and you feel what you feel, and the situation may in fact be something that's so profound that it makes sense that you feel bad. But if it's 6 months down the road and it's still that way for you, and you're unable to really get on with life, meditating on the rune Gebo and invoking that into your awareness may make you find your inner balance again, and be able to then engage with others in a way that's loving and kind, and in a balanced fashion there. So just beginning with that today, let's go on with the cards and see if we can get some more details about what's really going on. And I think that what's going to define Tristitia here with the reading is the Five of Pentacles. So here we have the Five is about change, and with the Pentacles, you're looking at the physical reality, so you're looking at material security, among other material types of focuses here. Here you have two people that are huddled against the wind and the snow. Their clothing is wrong for the elements, and so something significant has happened, that maybe their house burned down and took all of their possessions, and this is all they have left. Maybe they were injured. This looks like this guy's walking on crutches. It doesn't not look like they have shoes on, more like either bandages or just maybe cloth wraps for their feet. But clearly there's weather going on here, and there's snow coming down, and you see what's likely a church to the left of them, but you don't see a doorway. So either they're not aware of where the door is into the church, so they can get some help and support in there for what's going on, or they can't accept it. And unfortunately, when you're in the mindset of Tristitia, it does make accepting help or support from someone else very difficult. Sometimes you even get to the point where you almost resent it. It's almost like it's intrusive. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you judging me? When that's not what they're doing. They see that you're upset. They see you're in grief. They see you're struggling, and they just want to help. Again, express that Gebo in their lives and help with what's going on. But with Tristitia, it may be too difficult to accept that help. And I mean, and that's a thing with people, with sometimes it happens where some of us just can't really, I mean, we're fine with offering help to other people, but boy, when someone offers it, just like, no, it's okay. I don't need that, Well, maybe you do. So again, we're starting with maybe, I think anyway, what's going to align with Tristitia here, and something so big has happened in your life, or at least you believe that it's big, and for you it may be, to someone else it might be, oh well, but for you, whatever your circumstances were affected by this. And so lots and lots of change, lots of other externally imposed change on you, perhaps. Change maybe you didn't even see it coming, maybe. And so you're dealing with the shock of it. And so it's understandable you would feel bad. But again, if it's a Tristitia energy that we're talking about, then maybe the time to process that, you need to get on with that and move forward into something better for yourself, because you deserve that. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have a positive life and a loving exchange with other people. Now, if it involves like a marriage or something, because Gebo can be about a marriage, if maybe the marriage or a relationship is broken up, and now you have no place to live, basically. Maybe you were depending on the other person for financially, where both of you are contributing to the home you're living in. And so everybody's got to move out, and you have to find someplace else to live. That could be something that's going on here. Or again, if it's like in Portland where trees are falling on your house and maybe it's no longer inhabitable. This last few days, the snowpocalypse has really affected Portland, like stuff like this always does. They get freezing rain, they get ice, they have winds. The gorge winds down there, depending on where you live, can just be massive. And trees can come down. They come down very easily. They go across the road, they hit the power lines, you got no power. Maybe they hit your house. I saw one guy talk about a neighbor older couple, they're sitting in their chairs and the tree fell down. They had to, the fire department, I guess, had to come and get them because they couldn't get out. I have no idea what the rest of the house looks like, but what I saw of their living room and the tree there in the middle of the living room, I don't know that the house is salvageable. Maybe part of it is, but I don't know. Didn't see the rest of it, and I don't know what's happened subsequent. But there's an example of significant change that you don't see coming. It's just there, and now suddenly you've got to deal with all of this, and it's easy to feel hopeless and unable to think that there's anybody there to help you. And so and I'm emphasizing this Tristitia because it's so, it's ego based basically. And fear based, and it's very hard for some of us to let go of that. And it could be any of us, really, depending on what it is, where you just get stuck there and it's hard to move on. Now, what's the next thing to do? Now, ultimately, when I first did this reading here this morning, I started with 3 cards, but after I read this one, and then I'm going to go on to the Queen, I'm thinking, I got to have something else. It's like there's something missing here, another piece of this, and maybe part of the answer that transitions us from Tristitia to Gebo energy, and being able to express that in your life versus the stuckness, because Gebo frees you. The light of spirit frees you, basically, to move about and live your life in a very positive way. But sometimes you've got to retreat and go within and find your higher purpose. And the hermit, is of course up on the snowy peaks, of course, but no snow is falling, fortunately. But he's holding a staff in one hand, signaling alignment. 9 is about endings and completion, generosity, spirituality. But he's also holding a lantern in his hand, lit by a beautiful, brilliant and glowing Merkaba. And the Merkaba, of course, is the soul vehicle. So this is getting, and with the Hermit being a part of the major arcana, that's soul archetype energy. Okay? And so here, what he's doing is he's looking down upon his life and his world, but he's getting above it all, getting out of the chaos of it all the chaos of emotions, the emotions here and the emotions with Tristitia. He's getting away from all of it, and he's moving up and getting higher and getting clarity from higher vision, from the divinity within, the soul within, accessing that awareness and trying to let go of emotions that are not serving him anymore. He needs to get clear now, and you can't do that if you're caught up in the ego of it all, and the emotion of it all, and the fear of it all. And that's what he's asking. This is the transition between the 5 of Pentacles and now the Queen of Cups. Here, I love this queen. I love the throne she's sitting on. It's just beautiful. You can see the little cherubs here and here and here on her throne. She's holding a beautiful chalice, and she's holding them in both of her hands. Her cape sort of runs down here. It's kind of got a pattern of river rock on it, and it almost merges with the rocks below as she sits at the ocean's edge, the water's edge. Excuse me. But she's quiet, she's reflective, she's patient, she's spiritual, she's loving, she's kind, she's generous, and she's compassionate. Uh, but I don't think she's necessarily talking about in this sense, especially with Tristitia involved here, compassion for others. I think it's about having compassion for yourself and letting yourself off the hook, and letting go of the fear of moving on to something better in your life, um, to where you can live in balance with other people, to where you can draw in the higher awareness, draw in spirit, and then express that outward into your interactions with other people. To where you're not so caught up in the grief of the moment, of that circumstance that's brought you to here, to the Five of Pentacles, and to the feelings expressed by Tristitia. And then from there, once you're able to do that, you can return. In a sense, this is returning to life. You see the home behind this fence or whatever, this wall, this stone wall. You see, and again, you see the X here. I've talked about this before. Whenever, in fact, we had this card on, I think it was last Thursday, wasn't it? Yeah, we had this last Thursday. And every time I draw this card, I say it's a Gebo moment, because there's Gebo. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, it's the idea of sharing what you have with others with no expectations, of just giving for the sake of giving. And that's what I see with this card. You know, the individual has collected flowers from the garden. There's lilies in each one, white lilies in each one. That suggests purity of motive. This person doesn't expect anything from the other person. Just wants to offer this just to make this person's life better. It creates a sense of balance with others. It creates a sense of a gift to others. And in all likelihood, that will be returned at some point. But not because it's expected, but because of the joy of offering with no expectations to other people. It sort of incites that in them. It invokes that in the other people, right? And whether they do that, come back and give you something, or they pass it on, they pay it forward. Remember that movie from years ago, Pay It Forward? It's such a wonderful example of the random acts of kindness. You'll see commercials about that, random acts of kindness. Somebody does something nice for somebody, and they go on, you never see them again, and then that person has the opportunity to pay that forward, and it goes on and on and on and on. And pretty soon, even if you just let somebody go ahead of you in the grocery line, I've said this before, it can change everything for that person. Just that little random act of kindness puts them in a better mood, And it's like, God, she didn't have to do that, or he didn't have to do that, but look what they did. Isn't that nice, And it changes things. It changes the energy. It invokes Gebo into your life, you see. And so I think, let me do the numerology just to see here of the whole thing. Let me get my little deal up here. And let me get the keyboard so I can do this and not reaching forward. Now, we said that Gebo is a 7. So 7 plus, 5 plus 9, plus the Queen doesn't have one, plus 6 is 27. And so that reduces to 9. Let me make sure I did that right here. You do it one more time. So 7 with Gebo, plus 5, plus 9, plus 6. Is 27. So 9, endings in completion. What this would suggest, and I said this at the outset, Gebo is the answer to Tristitia. It puts an end to the feelings invoked by Tristitia, the stuckness of all of that. Staying stuck in the emotions, staying stuck in the grief and the sorrow and the blame and all of that. It gets us nowhere. It might be part of our healing process of figuring out what happened, of course, right? I mean, that's normal. But when it lasts for what seems like forever, then there has to be something that happens. And what I think the reading is suggesting, it's going within and accessing higher awareness so that you can feel the love of the soul, filling you with joy and compassion, even just for yourself, because clearly you probably need it at this point, and move out of that unhealthy stuckness into more compassion for yourself, to where you can then see something, the light at the end of the tunnel. And from there, the Queen reinforces that idea where you give yourself compassion and love and time to honor your feelings about what's going on, whatever it is. Whether it's maybe a change in circumstances brought on by this weather that we're having, or maybe your house is destroyed and you have to go live with a relative that lives close by in the area, that maybe your relationship maybe hasn't been the greatest with the relatives, but they're offering, and they would be so happy to help you. They're there for you. It's like, no, come live with us. You'll go back to your home when it's rebuilt, but right now you can stay here. We have plenty of room, and we would be so happy to have you with us and to be able to help you this way. That experience is what rebuilds you from the moment of significant change that maybe you get stuck in, the tristitia of the moment. And you can't accept help from anybody. You can't get out of that. It's just too much fear of the change that's going to take place, maybe, or something, But I think what the reading is showing, as far as the cards go, is although this is happening and Gebo seems to be the answer, it's like, well, how do you get there? I mean, it's all well and good, right? It's like, oh, I'd be happy with it. How do you do that? Well, again, it takes a shift in perception to where it can move you out of that tristitia experience and into the more light-bearing and expressing Gebo experience, if you will. And again, excuse me, it's about having compassion for yourself and realizing that, okay, I can take a step forward, excuse me, and then get back into, and I love this card for it, the ability to give and receive from others, give to and receive from others, something that is just I'm going to do this for you. I want to do this for you. And I know that can be hard for some people to accept, and maybe all of us at times, hard to accept the help that's offered, right? But it seems like in order to move forward, you really have to get out of the stuckness of it all and come back and trust that process. And move forward in love and unity and kindness and generosity and the gift, and offer the gift, accept and offer as well the gift of reciprocity between others, right? Between you and someone else. And it's okay. It's not going to end in something bad. It's going to be a positive thing in your life. So I think that even though, tristitia really suggests that some serious stuff has gone on for you and it's just hard to let it go, know that if you're able to shift your perception into something higher, and you're able then to have more compassion for yourself instead of being caught up in the negative self-talk and the negative mindset and, oh, it's never going to be any better, and I don't know how to get out of this. It takes taking the step forward. It begins with compassion for yourself. And once you do that, it becomes easier, I think, to then move out and express that same compassion and reciprocity for others in your life in a balanced way. Tristitia has no balance. It's just all consuming. And it's not a healthy place to be for a very long period of time. It's one thing if it's right in the moment, and the time surrounding it of something that happens. But at some point you do have to pick yourself up and move on. You can't stay there in that type of a mindset. It's not healthy, it's not positive, and you're going to be there forever. And I don't think anybody really wants to be. It's just sometimes we don't know how to get out of it. And realistically, if you're stuck in a perception, you got to find a way to think something else. And going within, meditating, accessing higher awareness softens all of that. And when it does, it helps you then move forward. So whether, this is something weather related that's just happened, or this is something that's been going on for you for a while, the reading is suggesting that you can move forward and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you can move forward into that light, and come back to the world in a way that you can find your happiness again. So I guess that's it. We did all right. Anyway, thanks for watching. And again, the stuff's up on the blog right now. It went out on Sunday night. I do that. I work a week ahead, so I never know what day it is. But anyway, so I'm working on the following week's stuff, not just next week's stuff. That stuff already, this next week is already in the can, basically. And so I think I'm working, well, let's see, I guess this is the week that's in the can. And then I guess I'm working on the week of the 21st. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So in any event, look for that on the blog. The website address is imsteppingaside.com. The website is called Stepping Aside. And if you forget, click on more below the video, and it's right there at the top, the link to the website. So I also post a lot of that stuff over on Substack, Medium, and Patreon. So if you want to follow me over there, that'd be cool. Otherwise, come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that. Give it a like, and be good to yourself. Be good to one another, and blessed be.